Dear all, welcome back to this second MaaS4EU interview about the MaaS4EU project, which is about the MaaS concept and the real-life test. Here with us, there is Kuba from the University College of London. First of all, Kuba, thank you for your time. And would you like to introduce briefly yourself?
Sure. So hi, everybody. My name is Jakub Muscat. I'm a research associate working at UCL MaaS Lab, which is one of the partners involved in the MaaS4EU project. My role in the project is looking at coordinating together with the pilots that we have within the project, as well as producing some of the surveys, data analysis, and demand modeling to better understand the user's perspective with regards to mobility as a service and how that may come forward and how that may change following the project.
Perfect. Thank you, Kuba. Let's start with the first question. What is the idea behind MaaS and when and by whom it was firstly conceived?
So the main idea behind MaaS, or mobility as a service in its full name, comes from creating an intelligent information assistant for traveling. Fully, we at UCL and within the project define MaaS as a user-centric, intelligent mobility management and distribution system in which an integrator brings together offerings of multiple mobility service providers and provides end users access to them through a digital interface, allowing them to seamlessly plan and pay for and access mobility. That's quite a long and complicated definition for it, but in practice, MaaS is often brought together through a simple, single mobile application, which provides all of the necessary tools to complete journeys using the most appropriate modes for users. The organization which acts as an integrator here, which provides the application for MaaS, is referred to as the MaaS operator. It could be an organization in different types, be it public, private, and all of these different types bring together different challenges and opportunities. The MaaS solution brings together the supply side to create a solution for users' mobility, allowing them to purchase mobility as a whole rather than single trips or single legs of trips. Ideas for integration which form the basis of MaaS have been floating around for decades, really. But in the last 10 years or so, technology has really accelerated this process and enabled MaaS solutions to become a reality. So things like the increased technological coverage in terms of data sharing, as well as mobile phone usage, have played a large role. And really, since 2014, we've started seeing the biggest increase in pilots and practical demonstrations of MaaS.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The second question is, what are the features and the requirements needed to build up and implement a MaaS system?
Well, as MaaS brings together so many different elements, which I touched on earlier, attempts to integrate the solutions together, all of these different solutions together, there are many different elements that need to come together from multiple sectors to ensure it is implemented in a positive manner that can bring about positive benefits that many of the proponents of MaaS mention. Within the MaaS4EU project, we've split our analysis into 4 pillars which align with these requirements and allow us to conduct further analysis and identify the requirements that are needed for each of these elements. These 4 pillars are the business side, end users, IT, and policy. Within each of these pillars, we can identify some specific requirements and features that are already needed and which would strongly assist in creating a positive environment for mobility as a service to prosper. When it comes to businesses, we need a sufficiently well built up legal and commercial framework between both the MaaS operator and between different service providers. When it comes to the end users, we're looking at a pre-existing level of IT availability and familiarity with using technology. As well as this, we also look for a readiness to take up use of mobile systems and new technology for traveling. So, for example, making mobile payments or accessing tickets through a mobile phone or contactless payment method rather than paper tickets, which we might have been used to in the past. Moreover, a predisposition to using different modes might help to promote initial uptake of a MaaS solution. But many argue, and there's been various bits of evidence that prove that MaaS might actually be a lever that can be used to incentivize use of those different modes. When it comes to the IT side, this is where we have some of the most clear requirements and features that need to be implemented, and a lot of these are already taking place. For example, questions of interoperability of technology in terms of the data and linking different mechanisms between different operators are really a necessity to ensure that the user experience that users of MaaS would have is smooth and clear. Having the links and protections in place is a necessary precursor to implementing a technologically appropriate solution, which would fulfill the needs of a MaaS solution. Finally, when we come to the policy side, there are many different things which can be sought after that would help foster an environment that would be beneficial for MaaS. Harmonization of different regulations and standards across the board is an important element to make it work across multiple stakeholders. Importantly, the question of liability and risk also comes up. This could also be defined at a legislative level, with policymakers clearing up some of the uncertainties that MaaS operators and different mobility service providers within the environment face. Linked to this, multimodal passenger rights when it comes to short distance travel are not well defined and require further input from a policy perspective. Policy can play a role in fostering MaaS through building confidence among operators and encouraging participation if it aligns with their aims. Over the course of the project and further implementations, we expect to find more details and further elements which really show what is necessary for MaaS to be really successful. But I think that's a good start and shows some of the main things that we've identified so far.
Okay, thank you for this clear picture. And what are the main benefits that a fully operational MaaS system can bring to urban mobility?
Well, there are many theoretical benefits that have been touched on by proponents of the MaaS concept for a long time, and there's a lot of potential that can be achieved through it. Some of the initial trials and surveys and data collection methods that have taken place over the past few years show that there are these benefits could really come to fruition. So to begin with, one of the main benefits or even aims of the introduction of the MaaS concept is a reduction in the reliance on using private vehicles, well, using and owning private vehicles. Changing this sort of system where we have a high level of ownership and use of private vehicles brings about many benefits in the first place, be it to the environment, be it to space, or even urban planning and further development. This could also provide benefit to individuals in terms of giving them more options and flexibility with their travel. Having a more interesting, more appropriate mobility experience, as well as potential reductions in cost. However, a lot of these elements need to really be tested in more detail to make sure that those benefits would come to fruition rather than the opposites. MaaS could also provide better access to information across multiple transport modes in a single source, rather than having to fish through multiple apps or multiple schedules or timetables. A single source of information provides a huge benefit and removes many of the pain points related to having multiple memberships and different payment methods for each of the different modes that someone might want to access. Overall, this should create a better user experience and facilitate this shift away from private vehicles to a more complete mobility experience. MaaS has also shown the potential to act as a mechanism for demand management, shifting people to use more environmentally friendly modes than they would have initially. Some early evidence from trials and some of the initial implementations have indicated this is possible, and that mode share for environmentally friendly modes, such as active travel or public transport, might increase. It has also the possibility to create a more resilient transport system, which users might be able to more easily swap between modes when they face disruptions or these kind of elements. Nevertheless, we need to consider the fact that a lot of this hasn't fully been operational and tested on a large scale, and the evidence comes from experiments or stated preference experiments, thought experiments, or small-scale trials. As such, we need further evidence to confirm that these benefits are really what could be achieved, rather than the opposite, which would be a big shame considering the full potential of MaaS as a new mobility service.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kuba. Our last question. What are the main challenges that still need to be solved through real-life tests?
Well, this question ties in quite well to the end of my previous answer, I think. As I mentioned, a lot of the benefits that a fully operational MaaS system could bring with it are seen as quite hypothetical, and as such, gathering more evidence and information through real-life tests and further experiments will help to provide the information that we need to confirm or deny these predictions. Getting this quantifiable evidence would further help governments, regulators, businesses, and different operators in deciding whether to increase their investments in MaaS and whether investing in MaaS would actually prove beneficial for what they aim to achieve. It also would help demonstrate what regulation is further needed to help shape MaaS in a form that would be something that governments and local authorities would be seeking. We really need to look at all of these elements to be able to understand whether these positive changes that I've outlined or the benefits that we could have would really be achieved, and whether we would be able to provide, whether through MaaS we would be able to promote more sustainable mobility. Moreover, real-life tests will help demonstrate the challenging points of implementation and what the blockages would be to implementation, what some of those points that really impede or are barriers to the implementation of MaaS. Within the MaaS4EU project, we've taken those into those 4 pillars I mentioned. For example, under the business side, commercial agreements and risk ownership have proven really challenging to overcome, and some elements that really need to be tackled up front. When it comes to the end users, understanding people's willingness to use different services and those potential those potential behavioral shifts is important. Within IT, the data openness and interoperability has proven as a major point to address within further work. And finally, when it comes to policy, aligning policy goals and creating an appropriate regulatory environment, bearing in mind those 3 remaining pillars, has shown to be an important step towards helping MaaS prosper, really. Understanding the key elements needed for success within delivering MaaS is a major element that still needs to be solved and can be better understood through real-life trials and further implementations of MaaS. Hopefully, through some of our implementation with the MaaS4EU project, we'll be able to further provide some evidence and answers to these questions and challenges that we face. Thank you.
Thank you, Kuba, for this clear picture of the MaaS concept. Other interviews will be soon available in the coming weeks. Visit our website, MaaS4EU for more information, and follow us on our Twitter account, MaaS4EU. Okay, thank you, Kuba.